guys! So a while ago I did a video showing you the different ways that I use my monthly pages in my various planners, and today I wanted to show you how I use my weekly pages. So we'll start off with my Hobonichi Cousin, which is my work planner, as many of you know. And I just use this to track time, like timed activities, and also to get an overview of my week. So you see in the Cousin, there's a space here on the left just for notes that's not tied to any one day, which I really like. And I use this, first of all, right here at the top left, I put in the main projects that I'm going to be working on during the week. So obviously it depends on what you're using it for. For me, because it's work and these are research projects, I don't put in things like teaching or meetings or anything like that. I put in the things like, at the moment I'm doing a bilingual edition of the first Hebrew Shakespeare plays, the first translations of Shakespeare into Hebrew. And so I put in the task for that week that I'm going to be focusing on. And then down here, I put in any tasks that have to be done sometime during the week, but that haven't been allocated to a specific day. So for example, I had to do my taxes, my UK taxes. And so I put that here. I put the the main research task for the week above where the grids start. I don't know if you can see it, but let's see. See that the gridded lines start here, and I just put this up here, like right below the calendar, so that it's not not a task for the week. It's just the thing that I have to keep my mind on during the week. And then I put in anything else, like just notes for the week. So I had to book some tickets to go to Manchester, and I noted down the times that I needed to book them for, because I'm going with a colleague who'd booked her ticket separately. So like things like that, I will put in there. And then if there's anything else that has to be done during the week, I'll usually put it sort of here and leave spaces for random notes down here. Then I put so there are these check boxes here that are like top 3 sort of check boxes. And I put in the thing or things that are going to be the focus of that day. So I usually plan this out beforehand, and sometimes it changes afterwards, but I write in, so like, for example, this is the same research project. I put in a while ago what I thought I was going to be doing, and then it turned out that I wasn't going to be doing that. So I've crossed it off and like put in just the main focus of the day. This only applies really when I'm working on a particular project and I'm going to be at home. If I was going to be like, say, in a training course. So for example, next week, I'm going to be at a training course on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I've just put that in so that I know like that's what's going on these days. That's what that's for. And I used to use these boxes as well for to-do lists, and then I realized that it was better to separate that out, because if I have a mix of like the overall sort of overarching tasks for the day, or overarching like theme of the day, and to-dos, first of all, you run out of room, and secondly, it kind of gets confusing with them all mixed together. So I've decided to keep these top 3 just for like the heading of the day, as it were, and then I put to-do list down here in the space below the timed, like the timed part of the day. So that's something that I really like about the Cousin, is that it allows you to do that. So you've got these top 3 here, and that is working really well, just keeping these for the priorities of the day. And then down here, specific tasks that I have to do during the day. Sometimes I run out of room. It hasn't happened here, but let's see. On this one, so like here, I ran out of room. If that happens, then I can put things over here. So usually I end up with extra room in this part of the page, so that's not a problem. But like that's the goal, is to try to keep anything that's day specific but not time specific to put down here. So the rest of the page is timed, and obviously this is most immediately relevant if you've got timed appointments, so work appointments, dentist appointments, that kind of thing. And so I use it for that sort of thing. So you can see here, I had a doctor's appointment and I just circled it, and here's like a colleague is phoning, so I've circled the time there. But if, like me, you are either working from home a lot of the time, or you have a job where you don't, go from appointment to appointment, it still can be useful to have this time slot. I really couldn't live without this now, because I've come to use it in a way where I block off my time, even if I'm not specifically tied to a particular time for something, just as a way of like kind of mapping out how my day will go. So like, for example, I haven't done it yet for today, but what I usually do is I just kind of like chart off the amount of time that I think it should take me to do X task. And that way I can see, either it turns out to be unrealistic and I have to completely revise it and I don't get a quarter done of what I was hoping to get to do, or I can see, okay, I can do that much, and then I can project for the next day how much I'm going to be able to do. So that's why I use the time slots like all the time, even if I'm at home all day. And I find that really helpful when I switched from a Moleskine, which didn't have such a detailed like kind of time layout, to this one. I just really felt like it was very, very helpful, because I could sort of estimate how much time I thought each thing would take. And it's very nice, even if it turns out not to be true, it's very useful just to be able to do that. And it gives you an idea of how much you actually will be able to accomplish in a single day. So that's how I use my weekly pages in here. In terms of when I schedule all of this out, I don't really do it at a specific time. I don't have like a kind of dedicated planning session. I write things in as they come up. So the weekly, like kind of, the main tasks for the week, you can see that this is next week. That's already quite full. I've got a reasonable amount of stuff already planned out for that. But the week after is completely blank, except for this, because this is the main focus that I'm going to be working on. It's an article. So that is what I'm planning to be doing this week. At the moment, I don't have any other appointments. There's nothing for this week. It's completely free to work on this. That will probably change, but when it does, I will write these things in when they come up. So appointments, I just write in, as they get booked. And then probably I'll put in the like kind of headlines of the day much closer to the time, when I have an idea of what I think I'll be working on then, because this is the same project. I've already started working on it this week. So I have been, that relates to these things. It's already that same article. So I think that I'll probably have more of an idea next week of exactly where I want to be. And then I'll be able to sort of put in my like themes for the day. But it doesn't happen at a specific time. I don't sit down on a Sunday night or something and plan out what's going to happen the next week. I just do it either as I finish a particular like kind of phase of a project, then I want to see what the next phase is going to look like, I would do it then, but it's kind of on an ad hoc basis. And I put in appointments like as soon as they come up. So like, I've got like, this is already planned out for a few weeks in advance, because I already know what's happening then. And because I don't decorate this at all, I don't use like post-its or sticky notes or anything. I just write it straight in, and if something gets cancelled, I just like cross it off, which is kind of annoying, because I like having everything be completely clean and immaculate. And when I used to use a friction pen, I would erase things if they turned out to be cancelled, but it's okay. I can live with it now that I'm using a fountain pen. I just cross them off. And then at least I have a record that something was originally supposed to be happening then, and now it's not. So that's how I use the weekly pages in my work planner. Now, let's look at my personal planner. So as I've mentioned before, these are my two main planners. And at the moment, for One Book July, or I should say 2 Book July, this is completely, like, these are my only planners that I'm using. So for my personal planner, it's divided into a dated, well, yeah, let's look at a plain one here. So you have a dated page, week on one page, and then you have the grid paper on the other side. So at the moment, I've used this in various ways, but at the moment I'm using it like this. So I've divided the week on one page into 3 sections. You can probably see it better on this one. This is a blank one. This is next week. So I've divided it into events, or it's events/appointments, gratitude, and money. So the events, again, I just fill them in as they come up. These are anything that's timed. So like that course that I mentioned, it's a work course, but I've put it in here as well, just so that I know what's going on this day, these days. James is working in the market, so I put that in. we are going to the cinema, so I put that in the time. Anything like that goes here. And I was nervous when I started doing this that there wouldn't be enough room for it, but actually it's completely fine. I don't have that many like personal appointments and events going on, so this little box for one day is enough. And quite a lot of times I actually have room left over. And then this is gratitude. So you can see here, I just write in like a few things, like maybe 5 things that I'm happy about or thankful for. And then this is money. So I put in all of my expenses, and then I check my bank balance every day and put the bank balance in the bottom. So that's what goes on this side of the page. And then the other side of the page is divided into daily tasks. So this is as close as I get to anything like bullet journaling or drawing out my own layouts, because the gridded page is just completely blank. So I've drawn in check boxes and divided the days so that I can see it kind of follows seamlessly on from the left-hand side of the page. And so I know that this is Monday's tasks, this is Tuesday's tasks, etc. And I put in 2 columns of tasks. And then I just write down the tasks as they come up per day. So at the moment, I'm kind of trying to do like sort of AM here and PM here, roughly, so that I have an idea, like this is what I'll be doing in the sort of earlier part of the day, and this is what I'll be doing in the afternoon and evening. Because otherwise it can get confusing depending on what it is. Sometimes I write things in, beforehand. So you can see I've written in these tasks for next week already, just because I knew that I wouldn't be able to get them done this week. And so I've transferred them over. And if I write something down early in the week that I'm planning to do at the end of the week, sometimes it might end up being something that I'd put it here in the first available space, and then it might be something that I only end up doing in the evening. So it can be confusing if you have a whole bunch of things later on that you're actually doing earlier, if you see what I mean. So I'm trying to keep it to like kind of AM, PM, just to have a little bit of a coherent system there. But other than that, there are no divisions. This is all just tasks that I have to do sometime during the day. So down here, there's a blank space. And this is something that I love about the weeks, is that despite being very, very small and portable, you actually have quite a lot of room to work with. And I was surprised just how much room there is. So down here, I've been putting in a like kind of weekly habit tracker. So it's just exercise, shower, and checking bank balance. Not that I would forget to have a shower, but it's just something that I often have to write in, like kind of, done exercise. And then I thought rather than just writing it in every day, I would just put it here. So that's what I've been doing at the moment. But I'm thinking of maybe switching back to not having it and just writing it in every day, those things, because I like having the space down here just for notes. So sometimes something comes up, like I saw this advert for a job searching site that I thought might be useful for James, and so I wrote it down there, and it's nice to have a bit of blank space here. So there's also this space up here which I can use, but it's kind of nice having this one because there's a bit more room and it's lined, so it just feels a bit like it's dedicated for that. But there is space up here and here if you just want to write something, like if you've seen a website that you want to remember. I've started putting things up here as well, but I'm thinking it might be nice to have all of this space down here just for notes that aren't tied to a specific day. So that's how I use the weekly pages in here. I guess the only other thing to mention is symbols. I don't really use that many symbols. It's very, very simple, but I do have 3 different ones. As you can see, for tasks, I use the box, the check box, and then I just color it in when the task has been completed. I don't cross them off. I've always crossed things off, and in here I cross things off. But for some reason with this checkbox, just ticking it wouldn't be enough to tell my brain that it was finished, but coloring it in completely, somehow that does seem to work. And when I see that it's colored in, then I'm like, okay, that's done. I don't have to think about that anymore. If a task has been like migrated, then I just like put a single cross through it. So you can see that like kind of, let's see if you can see those two. I just put a line through them, and then that means that I've moved it onto a different day further down. In theory, because you can see the whole week at a glance, I could just leave them blank until I've done them, but I like to know at the end of the day that everything from that day has been somehow taken care of. Either I've done it or I've moved it to another day, so I just rewrite it the next day that I want to do it, and then I put the half line through it to show that I haven't done it, but that it's taken care of. So if I see a blank box, that to my brain says you need to do something about this. And so that's the tasks. And then on the other side all I put here is, for appointments, I put a circle, and then the same thing when it's finished or if it's been cancelled, I just color it in. And then if it's something that's happening but that I don't have to do anything about, I use a triangle. So for example, there was a friend's birthday. So I did actually have to do something about that. I had to send like a message. I just, sent an email. But this is a better example. James in the market, it's a triangle because I don't have to do anything. It's not like I have to be somewhere. I just have to remember that he will be in the market so that I don't think that he'll be at home. That's all I have to do. And then I just color it in when, like, kind of the day, when that's happened. So it's like, yeah, okay, he's at the market. I know that now. I can cross it off. It's not something I have to think about anymore. But that's all I use. So it's kind of like a very, very basic sort of like, loosely based on the bullet journal system, but like so basic that it's not really, if that makes any sense. So that's it. And then as for like kind of, when I plan these things out, obviously, again, I mapped this out like probably sometime near the end of the previous week. So I think I did this maybe on Friday, just whenever I have a bit of time. Like when I'm watching TV or something, I just fill this in and I put all the boxes in, which might not be the best thing. It might be better to leave the boxes. I think earlier in the year I have done that. So let's see, like here, I didn't fill in, this is when I wasn't using boxes at all. I was highlighting at some point, let's see, earlier. No, maybe I never did that. Okay, no, here. Okay, so for example, here, see, I had these check boxes. I was highlighting these when they were finished. So I had the check boxes, but I didn't put in a whole like pages worth of check boxes. I just put in a few, and then I would add extra if I needed more. So visually that might be helpful because, like, for example, if I'm looking through and I want to see what's done, sometimes I see blank boxes and there's nothing next to them because, there weren't that many tasks for the day. But like the brain still registers a blank box, and I think it might be simpler just to see the boxes that have something next to them, so that either you see a blank box which needs to be taken care of, a filled box which is done, or a box which has been crossed through and you know that it's been migrated, rather than seeing blank boxes and then having to like kind of, it only takes a second for your brain to register that there's nothing there, but maybe it would be better just to divide the days off and then leave the boxes until I get to the day. But I don't think it really matters that much either way, and I like having it all taken care of so that I don't have to like kind of be fiddling around with the layout after, like I just do it once and then it's done. And then on this side, like likewise, I just make the divisions like kind of the week beforehand, and then I fill in the tasks, the appointments as they come up, and so it's really quite minimal in terms of maintenance. So that's that. So those are, as I've said, those are my two like kind of main planners. But I do also have some other planners that I use weekly pages for a variety of different things. So this is my finance planner. And at the moment, because of One Book July, or Two Book July as it is for me, I'm not really using this, but I think that I will copy all the information from the weeks into here because I like having it all in one place and being able to go back and easily reference it. So on the weekly pages, it's very simple. I have it's divided into three, which is really convenient. And I just use the three sections for food expenses, other necessities, and like kind of non-essentials. So every day I write in the expenses for the day, or as it is now, I'm going to do this probably all either at the end of the month or I'll just do it once a week because I'm writing all the same information into the weeks. So I'll just copy it over here whenever I think maybe weekly would be a useful way of doing it. And the point of that is so that I don't have to feel like I'm juggling all these different planners, but at the same time I have all the information in here so that I can look it over and know that if I want to see anything about finances, it will be in here. So this would be that sort of like the week's food expenses up here, and then I add it up here and put the total for the week, and then the same thing for the essentials, and then the same thing for the non-essentials, and then I put the totals here and then add up the total amount spent for the week. So that's all I use this for. It's very basic, but because this is like a single function planner, that's really all I need to do with it. And likewise, this is my meal planner. So this is a Disc Agenda Turquoise. And with the meal planner, again, this is like kind of blank at the moment because of One Book July. And this is one of the two planners that I decorate, and so that's fun because I like using stickers, but I don't use them on either of my two main planners just because those I really just like to be purely functional. I don't like to spend time on it, and I just like to note down the information and that's it. But this is because it's only devoted to a single issue again, and it's not essential in that I've got all this information in my weeks. This is more like just for fun. So I put everything on stickers. So you can see here that the theory is, let's see, I've got really bad about meal planning of late because I started meal planning in my weeks as well, and then I was sort of neglecting this. And let's see if I can find you a better example. Okay, this is one where it worked like how it's supposed to work. So I would write down, it's divided into 3, morning, afternoon, evening, which is perfect for meal planning. So this is the morning section, this is the afternoon section, this is the evening section. So I would usually put down like, so breakfast, and then like a snack, lunch, possible snack, and then like dinner here. And then here I write down things that we need to buy. So James usually does the main shopping like online. And I would just write down the list here, and then I could tell him like when he's doing it, if he would ask like, do you need anything else? I would say like, oh, have you remembered those things? So that's how this works. I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to go back to it during July, just because it's quite useful having something that we can both consult. And meal planning has actually taken a dive since I've stopped using this. I'm putting the meal planning in the monthly pages of my weeks, but I've been very bad at updating it. And as a result have kind of ended up flailing around as I used to in the pre-meal planning days. So probably this is actually a useful thing to have because it's nice and big, it's A5 size. I like keep it open on our desk, and so then we could, immediately see it. So this is, that's what the weekly pages are for here. It's just morning, afternoon, evening. So that's that one. And then the last planner that I have with weekly pages is my Jewish calendar, which I use as a home planner. Again, there's no unique information in here, as in all the information in here is also in my weeks or my work planner. This is more just for fun, again, because it's decorated, and also so that we can have an easy reference to see who's at home, who's out. That's basically all it's for. So this is really like very, very basic. This is last week, so this is just to give you a good example of how we use it. This is like we were all at home. James was in the market, James was in the market, James was in the market. I was at home all week, so there was really nothing else to put there, but I would put on, if I was out, then I would say where I was just so that he would know. And then I usually decorate it a bit with stickers beforehand, and then I kind of cover the rest of it afterwards so that I have this to look back on and see like, oh, so happy. So that's really it. I mean, this is a week on one page, and so you can't do a huge amount with it. This is kind of like a little bit bigger than A5 size. It's probably between A5 and B5, which is a bit of a strange size. But you can actually, I mean, as you've seen with the weeks, you can actually fit a surprising amount into this if you're not using stickers. If I was just writing by hand, I could get, a goodly amount onto this. But because we only use it, again, it's a sort of single issue. So all of these 3 planners are just used for one particular thing. This one for finances, this one for meals, and this one for whereabouts, like joint whereabouts. And so if you're using the weekly pages for something like that, then you really have quite a lot of freedom, because you can, you don't have to worry about not having enough room. It's very clear and easy to see because you're only looking at this one particular issue. So I quite like that. And I really like the combination of having all that information in here so that I only have to reach for one planner if I need to know meals, finances, whereabouts, anything like that. And then having this more like kind of leisurely layout, I guess, that is, sort of very pleasant to consult because it's not that packed. So those are all of the different ways that I use my various weekly pages in my different planners. I hope that you enjoyed this. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back again soon.